Welcome to Erotic Wisdom with Mrs. Love.
So here we are again with another episode of Erotic Wisdom, and today we coming live from Ubud in Bali, and I'm sitting with an architect. Of course, a wild woman. There is also a creatrix of beautiful houses and places for living and loving. And her name is Alejandra.
I'm Alejandra.
And your surname?
Cisneros.
Cisneros. And Alejandra has been living in Bali for
17 years. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm getting chills right now because I'm really touched and moved that we can explore. You know, I really enjoy taking a deep look, at life.
I know. That's why I like you.
Yeah, exactly. So let's do some deep scuba diving into, these houses. I'm delighted. You're, absolutely the person.
So I'll tell you, just for the one listening, the way I came across Alejandra. Basically, I'm living in one of her houses. I found it on Airbnb. I came to spend 3 days because I was running a course called Kissing the Snake, 3 days back to back. And I wanted a beautiful place that could nourish me while I'm teaching. And of course, I found this Joglo fantastic. And I came for 3 days with my daughter Luna, and we're still here. 2 months later. I couldn't leave. I just couldn't get myself to leave. And I had just booked another house in Ubud, and I didn't care. I just went back, got my bag, and just stayed here. And now we live in Ubud in 3 days. This has been really the place that held my heart for the last 2 months of me living in Bali. And I fell in love, I was telling Alejandra, I thought I was coming. I had this fantasy that maybe in Bali I would find a lover. And of course I didn't specify with the universe in what form. So I'd imagine maybe it was in a human form, but actually it turns out it was in the form of a living abode. And this Joglo has been really a love affair for me. And when I was in Cape Town, I kept saying that in Bali, I wanted to find a house. I wanted to live in a house without walls.
Oh, really? You actually said that? Well, the universe absolutely gave you that.
I didn't know about this Joglo. It was more like an idea because I remember it's so hot. You can live outside a lot. And here I am living in a house without walls, and it's like a dream coming true. And you, Alejandra, you living in the Joglo in front of it, and you are the builder of this house. And I thought, wow, what an amazing opportunity to have a deep dive and talk about love affair with living space. How in my experience living here has been of an expansion, like my body feels happy when I move in this space, when I see the light of the days changing in front of me. I see the rice field. I arrived, the rice field in front of my lounge was super green and then became a little bit yellow. And then now there is no more rice field because the rice has been harvested. And now it's full of brown stump with mud, which fits perfectly the brown ducks.
Exactly. And the ducks that are here now for the next episode.
Yeah.
And the next progression, yeah.
So I feel this experience of living here has been stylized. And what I bring home with me is really this idea of this green ocean. Living here, for me, has been living by the ocean.
How beautiful.
Which is not blue. It's been a green ocean, which happened to be the color of the heart. And so it really brought a lot of peace in my being. And I want to just throw something at you now because you have published a beautiful book called Seen and Unseen that speaks about all the Joglo that you've been building in Bali. And in one of them, you speak that your joy is to know that people have a beautiful life. I don't know how it was written, but also there are kisses being stolen in the corner of your houses. And that really touched me.
Exactly, the kisses, right?
The kisses.
A moment for a furtive kiss.
The moment for a furtive kiss.
Exactly, right? Well, you're Italian, I'm Latin, it's just like, wow, that says it all, a place where you
we live in houses and people look at the kitchen, if you have an oven, and where you're going to put the couch. But what about kissing and loving each other and having, creating space for love to unravel and unfold and express?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel your houses are really romantic. They inspire romance.
Yeah. Thank you. I had one of my clients, a Balinese boy, he said, because he was the manager for one of the other Joglos. And he said to me, and then he decided he actually saved money to be able to build his own Joglo as a Balinese person, which is already extraordinary. And he said to me, I have a fantasy about these conversations that I'm going to have around the island in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's it.
Yeah.
It's all of those kind of dreams. It's all of our dreams that we have that should be nurtured and they should expand. I mean, we should be surprised at what could happen.
Yeah, building a house to support the dream instead of building a house and then put a human being inside is the opposite. Letting the human being expand and then the house becomes just to support our love affair and our dream. So tell me about your love affair with Joglo. How did it started for you? Or what do you love about it?
Well, I woke up this morning kind of thinking, because I really wasn't thinking about our conversation until this morning. And then I thought, well, what is it about the houses? And there's a number of things we can get into, but one of the things is the seen unseen.
Yes.
Really, what is seen unseen? It's the male and the female.
Yeah.
It is exactly that, And I called one of the other things words that I use a lot for my houses, and in fact years ago, when I was in California, I had a class that was called Designing Your Own Home, the Poetic and the Practical.
Yes. And
it's that tension, that's what these houses are. Unfortunately, most houses, really unfortunately, have been designed by men that we've all lived in. And still, if I don't know why. Yeah, exactly. There's a kind of a heavy, kind of a dose of nothing wrong with it. But, when you add in the poetic on this other side, and the place for dreaming and for looking at the moon.
Yes.
And for crying, and having your sad moments too.
Yeah.
So that part of it. And then how did all of this happen? I mean, I came to Bali like you did. And after I was here for 2 weeks, I decided I was going to move here. I quietly went back to the U.S. and I packed everything up. I didn't tell anyone. Uh-huh. It was a little bit before email,
Yes.
And I thought, better not say too much. Because again, that's also, it's a little bit my philosophy about seen unseen, but also a little bit how I have operated in my life that has really served me well. The things that are really very, very important to us, we don't talk about them too much.
I like that.
I love it. I think it's powerful. The Balinese are that way.
Yeah.
They're like, Ale, I don't know if we can talk about that. We don't need to.
Yes.
And so when I came to Bali, I thought, oh, okay, maybe it's not going to work, and maybe I'm going to go back.
Yeah.
But even more importantly, I think there was this, this seed that I was protecting and that I wanted to grow and that I needed to, basically incubate it in a very, very protected way. So So yeah, so I came to Bali, and immediately, like you, I felt so good. I mean, every day I felt so good and better,
Yeah.
Like 1 month in Bali, it was like, 10 years of therapy or something like that.
Yeah. Deep heart medicine.
And actually, it's funny because before I moved here, I came on a short trip with a friend of mine, and I found a little journal that I had made from that very first trip, And one of the things I wrote on it was, I just had my first outdoor shower in an outdoor bathroom, and I said, this has changed my life.
Yeah.
So, these small things that...
And I want to add that when I sit in the bathroom here, I mean, for the people that are listening right now, we are sitting, of course, in the Joglo called Jazmin. And in the bathroom here, when I sit on the toilet, I can look at the moon.
Exactly.
How poetic is that?
I know.
I mean, that's really life expansive, that we are constantly connected with nature. Nothing is secretive, that my living experience, it's also an offering to the rhythm of life, to the season, to the day and the night and the changing of the season. And when the rain comes, it's been raining heavily for the past few days, it rains inside the bathroom. It's like the shower is on.
Exactly.
And it's beautiful. You feel the wet, you still go, you sit on the toilet, it doesn't rain on the toilet, but you feel you can smell it. You can touch it. It's right here. It's not outside over there, far away.
Yeah.
And because we live in the tropic, there's nothing more beautiful that the rain come, but we're not cold. It's not cold.
Yeah. So I think that what you just brought up is part of it, So I arrived to Bali. I felt so nurtured by the Balinese and the island already. And then and in a way, I think it just naturally, like many people who end up here, maybe I didn't really think about it, but it's like, oh, this is an interesting place, to experiment with maybe pushing a little bit the boundaries of what we can do.
Yeah.
Because it feels so gentle.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, it doesn't just feel gentle, it actually is gentle.
Yeah.
For those of us who've lived in countries that can be dangerous, Argentina it used to be a very safe country when I grew up, but now it's, you can't, they look at my photos, ay, Ale, no podemos hacer eso nunca. We can never do that in Argentina now, but here we still can. And so, in a way, to appreciate this moment and place in time, right, and really say, okay, what is the minimum? I mean, what do we really need, And so that was part of it. When I first arrived, I didn't build immediately because I really wanted to get a sense of what did I want to do, Was I going to build something new? How do you deal with the rain and the tropics and the animals? It's completely different. I was coming from a place which is a desert.
Yeah.
A little bit like, sort of semi-arid California.
Yeah.
So all of the issues are completely different. And I didn't really think it was responsible, to jump in, and until I really got a sense of all of this very profound, kind of nature that we have here. And so I, at a certain point, I found these. There were a few of them here in Bali. These are actually called Joglos, the first ones that I saw, and they're from the island of Java. And they became fashionable with a particular, regency of a king, and he would put them, inside the palace, and it was a place meant to be a place of contemplation. No construction. Later on, you could have an interesting discussion there, and then it was copied, So people who had money would build this kind of Joglo pavilion,
So the Joglo is basically a pavilion.
It's a pavilion.
A platform as a base and 4 columns and a roof.
Exactly. Later on, people would close them You know, it basically it can just have this center area, but also sometimes there are other columns that go all the way around, and so then you have a larger one.
Yeah.
And so, but that's the end of it right there.
Yeah.
And so that would have a roof, you know, around it, but not meant to have any walls.
Yeah.
However, later on, of course, people had this roof, so they ended up closing it.
Yeah.
It is, but it's not really it's not really easy to make livable for
Yeah.
people, and they don't like it, you know.
Yeah.
And the wood is, you know, so I thought, wow, when I found the first one, the wood is about 120 years old. Its teak is so hard, it's like stone, the teak. And it's all, you can see the marks of the knives, hand-hewn, and you know, it's like poetry already. It's already, you know.
And
you
all
don't
the
need
conversation that have happened inside these spaces also, community conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing else. You don't need anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you need nothing else. So, you know, once you put it, and I know that already, so I thought, you know, we have to honor this, you know, the wood, honor, you know, this pavilion, and, you know, and also, you know, in the U.S. we have barns in the East Coast. And also these loft spaces in New York City, which I've always found wonderful.
Yeah,
that
me
kind
too.
of industrial.
The warehouse.
Yeah, the warehouse. You know, but if you live in the country, you have warehouses.
Yeah.
But in the countryside, there's no warehouse really. Yeah. So I was kind of like, well, you know, this might end up being a bit like a warehouse, a bit like a barn.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, I really did the minimum, you know. It's just like, okay, we're going to put it up. And then, of course, we have this thing here in Bali that is the best in the whole world, are the craftspeople who make the alang-alang, the grass roof. Nowhere in the world do they make a grass roof that is as beautiful as this one.
Yeah.
So, really, you know, once I had those two elements, what else did I need? You know, that was it. Yeah. So everything else was really just about not going overboard, you know, trying to sort of control myself to make sure that I didn't have too many walls. Yeah. You know, that I didn't enclose it too much. So you know, you have to have some practical aspects. So, you know, you have to have some walls where you can put plumbing, other walls where you have electricity, and the minimum, you know. And then at the very end, the workers kept saying to me, Ale, when are you going to put the doors in? When are you going to They were really worried. Men, of course. Boys.
Practical.
The boys they're very worried about us girls living, you know, like this. They feel, for them it's a burden, you know. It's like, now I have to worry about her in an open house, you know.
Yeah.
But I said to them, look, I'll do it later, you know. I promise. I don't really have money right now. They understood that. It was partially true. And I thought, later on, we can always put in walls. Later on, we can always put in also boundary walls. Yeah. You know, we can do all of those things. There's plenty of time. But the reality is, you know, you
never did.
You don't want to.
Once you live in the house without a door, why would you want to put one again?
No, it's a kind of a silly, you know, addition that takes up time, you know. Here, it's there. Yeah.
I mean, one of the best moment I'm having here is when I go for walk or I go for the shop, and I just go. I close the bedroom. There is only a door here in the bedroom. The bedroom has wall. But I walk, and also last night we were walking back. When you arrive home, I'm already arriving into my lounge. I don't have to open the gate. I don't have to walk towards the house, open the main. I don't have to carry keys. I don't have to find the keyhole. I don't have to enter to this little door. There is a feeling of majestic also. I stepped in the temple of my living. It felt like this last night. And we left the light on, so that already when you're walking close to the house from the distance, you see the temple illuminated. And I know that's my home. And I cannot tell you how poetic and delightful and romantic and exciting that has been for me, especially living in South Africa. In 2 days, I'm coming back in a country where a house like this will be inconceivable because everything would be stolen. There is a lot of crime and petty crime. They would steal the couches, the table, the plates, the pots, you know, and here to come home and find everything in place that no one would dare touch anything here. It's really, really special.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you to tell me a little bit about this Sekala and Niskala, seen and unseen, in the Balinese tradition.
Yeah. Well, that is it's one of the most important elements of their philosophy, and it's the idea that that what is important is not what is seen. What is seen is, it's one level, but there's an entire universe, and it's the important one that is the unseen universe.
Yeah.
And the problem with talking about it is you're not supposed to talk about it.
It's like spoken and unspoken.
Yeah, it needs to be also an unspoken world. So there are special days that honor that unspoken world, the unseen, and you're not supposed to even mention that it's that day. So, it's just different layers. And I love that because what it means is words are not enough, really. It transcends language. Yeah. It's beyond language, this other world. And of course it includes nature, and a wood post as well.
Yeah. That has his own life and his own spirit. And I was reading up that in the architectural tradition of Bali, they give offering to every pillar that they build. The first pillar, the base structure of the house, there is a whole ceremony around it. And also that the architecture of the house follow the measurement of the owner of the house, the physical measurement. Hey? I found that so creative and inclusive.
Well, the measuring system that is still used in the United States is feet.
True.
Right? And people say, oh, it's so archaic. But you know what? I actually, because I was trained in the U.S., in architecture, I use feet in my head, whatever you use. And I find it, because it is based on, it's based on a human foot.
Yeah.
For me, meters, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. That's true.
What, if you talk about 500 meters, you have to kind of, in your head, or 50 meters, or 5 meters, or 0.5 meters, there's no kind of image of what that is.
Yeah.
And so I think I have it with the people, not the builders so much, but some of the people who do my drawing, my architectural drawings. He's always working in meters, and he doesn't. There's no nuance in the meters, like you have when you're like the Balinese.
There's no human reference.
When you have a human reference,
Yeah, I think I saw this in the spiritual tradition. They put humanity at the center of the experience of reality. And I was reading up in this beautiful book, Sekala and Niskala. I'm bringing it up because Alejandra's book about her Joglo is also called Seen and Unseen.
Yeah.
And also the house has wall and it hasn't. Some are hiding and some are revealing. So the house reveal what generally is unseen, the inside of the house. And So for me, your joglos are revelation also of intimate life, like we were seeing, the romance and the privacy that we tend to keep behind closed door. And now when I live in your house, there is no privacy. And that's also beautiful. I noticed the tension at the beginning, but after a while in my body I relax, because what do I have to hide? I'm a human being. I do things. Yeah, someone is looking in. I'm reading, I'm washing the dishes, I am talking to someone. And there's nothing to be hidden, actually. It's a social relation. But we grow up in structure that are so separate. They separate us from our neighbor. And so, yeah, like I'm having a private conversation. You can't see. Why not? Let's see. Let's make it public. You know, we're all doing the same thing inside our houses. So, and I think this also the aspect that really relaxes me in my body. That even my domestic gesture become harmonized with nature, the dark outside. There is no outside. We are all in the same plane now.
Yeah.
And people that are walking in and out, you know, there is the passage, because not only, Alejandra, to follow up on your story, you never added the door, but you never added boundary walls, which is also really beautiful. So there is a little passage behind my house, which is a public walk away, and people walk, not a lot of people. And I noticed that when they walk, the house is almost so open that no one even look in. It's the opposite. When there is a house that is so heavily protected with boundary, we tend to look because we want to see what is not being revealed. Yeah, we're spying on them because there is a wall, it's a private property. And I notice on the Joglo, when people walk by, they almost look away. They notice he's so naked, he's so exposed, then they feel shy to look too much. It's bizarre, the human behavior.
It's really interesting that you're saying that. I've never thought about that, but you're right.
It's so true.
Like they have to be respectful, you know, and like they are. And you become aware that this is a private home, and so you sort of have to jump to respectfulness for that.
Yes.
You know, instead of, and you a little bit have to be on a higher level, you know, than maybe you would be if you were just walking by a place that was closed, you know.
Yes, you have to you suddenly become aware. There is life happening, and awakes. This the neighbor told me, because Michael, one day I invited him inside and I said, "You've seen the Joglo?" And he's like, "Actually not so much, because every time I walk it is so exposed that I tend to look away. I don't want to disturb." And the other house that have more of walls, there is more curiosity, and we spy through the cracks more. And for me this is so interesting about human nature, that also we want to protect ourselves, and so we put wall to separate each other. But we evoke more desire to break the wall. And when there is no wall, there is no need to protect, because respect arises naturally. People become respectful. There is no wall, so I'm lowering my voice. Let's be respectful. So it calls for the best of our humanity naturally. I think this is really powerful, something we don't explore when we separate.
That is so interesting. I've never thought of it exactly like that, but you're absolutely right, you know. People are called, and perhaps there's the calling to live in a way at a higher level in a house that has less, also, that is more
aware,
kind of pared down.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be reminded, you know, to be your higher self. Okay, because it's going to be cold, now it's going to be warm. You have to be aware, you know.
Yeah, you have to be more aware. And I notice also when I live inside that I greet the people passing, which originally I thought, I don't want to be disturbed by people walking by. And now it's the opposite. If I'm sitting and doing something, washing the dishes, and someone walk by, I am the first one that greets them always. Oh, hello. It's so lovely. It reminds me that I'm a human and I live with other human. And you also speak about this in your book, that the Balinese is the relationship with human with other human, human with nature, and human with spirit.
Oh, isn't that so beautiful? That's the basis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They they don't really talk about it so much, but you can see it. You know, you can feel that in it's in their daily life every day. You know, it's a combination of the three.
Yeah. And also I was reading about, you know, they have this tree, always this rhythm of tree, and the demons, they're living in the underworld at the ground level, and at the top level, on top of the mountain in the sky, there are the gods. And in between there is all of us, the human, and our purpose is to balance gods and demons, and not to overcome. So, you know, I grew up in Italy, so we have Christianity, and in Christianity the light must overcome. We must control and overcome the demons, the darkness. And in the Balinese culture, no, you don't overcome at all. You have to keep balance. Even if it's too much of the goodness and the gods, that's out of balance, actually. You have to have some demons. You have to feed the demons a little bit. You have to serve the demons. You have to give them a space. I love that.
I know. So it's a special day, you know, where you have to offer them some cigarettes and chocolates and whatever it is they like.
Exactly. And living in this house that you built for me is like giving space to the animal. It's full of geckos on the roof, and they poo on the couch. They make very solid poo, but sometimes you find them, I just flick them. You are aware they are the animal. And I found frogs walking and through from the bathroom to the front. Surprisingly, not so many ants.
No.
Not so many spider at all. I haven't met snake yet. Sometimes I just assume that there are snakes, of course. But it allows for also all of this, the animal kingdom, to live together with me in this Joglo. It's not just mine, separated. You know? It's like living in a tree house.
Exactly. Well, and now the ducks are there.
Now
the
ducks
have their job. You know, they're there for a couple of weeks, and they will be eating the leftover seeds that were dropped in the harvest, and then also they poop in the mud, and that's the fertilizer
for the new rice.
For the new rice.
Yeah. So this house really has its sweetness. Instead of having the big plasma TV screen in the lounge,
exactly,
we are having a rice field, and we watch at the rhythm of nature. It's wonderful.
I mean, I can't imagine. Why would anyone do anything else, you know?
Yes.
Also, some of it is just, it's easy. I mean, I never thought twice, because the rice are so beautiful.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, you don't have to do anything. You know, it's taken care of by people who are tending it every day, and who love it, and it's their livelihood.
Yeah.
And then three, it's a changing tableau, you know, so
Yeah.
it's like performance art, you know.
Exactly.
Oh, you know, and today actually I liked this version too, because the rice gets so tall.
Yes.
You know, we can't see across for a while, and then all of a sudden it's cut back, and it looks like something from a Bruegel, you know, painting or something.
Yes.
You know, a middle-aged painting. Middle-aged painting.
It's got that
of
element
the harvest
of
the color.
dyeing and the mud, but now the white duck are coming in.
And all of a sudden it's wide open too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
Yeah. And then
the
it's
same
every
color of
3
the
months.
roof. It's got the same color of the roof of the Joglo now.
That is really true. That is
Yeah, super beautiful. Wow, so Anything else that you want to share about your intimate relationship with this living?
Let me just see, because I was thinking about it earlier. Yeah, I mean, they're vessels. They're vessels that allow whatever we want, you know. I like the fact that it's not really just meant for a certain, you know, green person or a certain evolved person or a certain yoga person. No, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, if you are an 80-year-old Korean woman, you should feel comfortable here. Families, anybody.
Yeah.
And in fact, the people who are most surprised, you know, those are, for them, you know, they really have a dramatic experience. You know, people who are coming from Seoul, Korea, and they've lived in a tower their whole life, and they come and they say, you know, it reminds me of one time when I went to visit my grandparents in the countryside. So it's lovely, you know, and also the fact, this is Asia, you know, and poor Asia, they don't have much of this. They have the opposite of a Joglo.
Yeah.
You know, they have everybody has been going in the wrong direction. Well, they don't think it's the wrong direction, but some of them are waking up and, you know, so many towers built so quickly.
Yeah.
And so much hard work. That this is really a nice kind of antidote to that.
Poetic living.
Yeah, and I mean, I have some Indonesian clients, and now we're going to have a cooking show here as soon as you leave.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Javanese, like a Netflix TV show.
Oh, wow.
And what I like about that is, like the Indonesians, you know, I am not Indonesian. I'm Argentine, American, Cuban, but to me, I feel it's a great honor that they feel that my interpretation of their joglos, works, and they want to use it.
Yes, that's beautiful.
So I like that, because we have to remember. I don't want to. You know, we have to remember where we are. I mean, it's their country.
Yes, we are guests.
Right? So, I mean, that's wonderful when it works for the Indonesians and for the Asians in general. Yeah, nothing. I think we've really talked about almost everything. But just
now, I want to ask you a question that sometimes I ask on the guests in this podcast.
Okay.
That is, I used to listen to a nighttime talk shows when I was young in Italy on late night TV at midnight, and the interviewer always ended with this question. Really, I thought it was so poetic, because speaking about poetry and seen and unseen. So, it's life a dream for you?
Yeah.
It's life a dream, or dream helps you to live better?
Life is a dream.
Life is a dream.
Yeah.
And what are dreams? When you dream at night, what's happening?
Oh my God! I have a whole entire, talk about seen and seen. You know, such vivid dreams in these houses in Bali.
Me too.
Oh my God! I mean, no shortage of activity going on. Yeah, I mean, I'm all over the world. I'm traveling around, astral traveling left and right. I think I am more of the belief that this life is a dream, you know.
And who's the dreamer?
And
who's dreaming?
Well, we're all dreaming, but we can certainly pull out. We can change our dream. I think we have the ability to really make up, especially in a place like Bali. You know, it's a bit like I felt like this from the beginning, and I think it's really true that it's like you enter into a different through a portal.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was a place that you could say maybe we all died and we all came to heaven here in Bali, it could be.
It could be.
And so far, you know, we have to really enjoy and appreciate it, because, you know, our experience in heaven, we may have to kind of reincarnate and go back again.
Yeah.
But it's so different from so many other places in the world.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Life in Bali is like a dream.
Yeah.
It's got this etheric quality there is a lot of the unseen. It's not so solid. And but I would like also to wrap up this beautiful time. Thank you for being available to me. And normally we talk about consciousness and sexuality, and I thought, no, we have to talk about this house. Please be my guest. But I want to speak about this event that happened like a couple of months ago when I just arrived here, because it was August, and in South Africa, Women's Day happened in August, and there was one night that I was doing a webinar with about 40, 50 people, women, online.
You were here.
I was here
Okay.
at 2 o'clock at night, remember?
Yeah.
I always said, because, you know, with the difference of time from South Africa, I end up being in this Joglo, sitting in the lounge with no wall, talking online late at night. So it was 2 in the morning when I finished the call, and I was so high because it was beautiful with all these women. We talk about, you know, women's story and women's sexuality. And then I heard this banging noise in the middle of the night. And I thought, oh, well, must be a sculpture or an artist. You know, there were a sculpture down the river. And I thought, there is so much activity in Bali. You know, it's full of surprise, this place. So I didn't think too much of it, and I went to bed. And the next morning, you told me, I hope you didn't get disturbed by the banging noise in the middle of the night. You remember?
Yeah, now I remember.
And I said, no, but I disturbed not. I was awake. Did you hear me? I hope I didn't disturb you by being awake. And he said, oh, no, I didn't hear you at all. But in the middle of the night, the family, the Balinese family that own this rice field that we are all on it, that you're leasing this land from, so it's like our local caretaker. There was a birth of a baby girl, and I remember seeing the lady pregnant. And so in the middle of the night, they were burying the placenta in the foundation of the house, because this is the Balinese tradition. And that was the banging noise that and I thought that was so auspicious for the call I just had with all these women. And there you go, another woman here in Bali, speaking about dream and creating parallel reality. She gave birth to a baby girl, which unfortunately for Bali is not so auspicious, because in their tradition they can only pass the inheritance on to the male born. But for us was so auspicious, for all us women. And so a baby girl was born in that night while I was online in this beautiful poetic house. I felt that moment was so poetic. It really filled my heart with happy tears.
Oh, yeah. That's so beautiful. And the grandmother, you know, she was able then, because they all know, you know, that I'm the big champion of all the women, and I love, you know, I'm forever talking about how amazing the girls are and how happy the fathers have to, you know, should be, you know, because this beautiful baby girl has just been born.
Yeah.
So Ilu, the who I know very well, the wife of the owner of the land, you know, the next morning when I came over, she said, you know, Ali, and she was just, she felt, I think because I was there, she sort of felt she could make an announcement. She said, I am absolutely thrilled to have my granddaughter a girl.
Oh,
she said,
amazing.
I have had these boys around me all this time in my life, And she is so beautiful, and but
fantastic.
it was so lovely, it is for them. It's a step, Perhaps maybe even 5 years ago she wouldn't have said anything.
Exactly.
But she, this is sort of gigantic that she feels, and everybody all, and the grandfather, he was a little bit like, is he? I was reading him. I wanted to know, right?
Yeah.
How is Kadek feeling?
Yeah.
I think he's doing well. I have a photo of him with his granddaughter.
Of course.
Oh my God! It's just, of course, he's gonna adore her.
Yeah, of course. And it's so beautiful how your presence here also influenced them. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking, because I know the house behind here, it's their property. They built it. The house where Michael said, and also it's pretty much with little walls.
He was inspired.
He was inspired by you. Hey?
Yes,
I can see that now. He only built the wall in the 2-bedroom.
Exactly.
And then the lounge and everything else is open. And he built a beautiful garden, so there is privacy given by plant.
Exactly.
But no fences.
Exactly.
And I'm realizing now that you have inspired them.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a give and take.
Yeah.
We receive from them and we give back, and it's beautiful that they receive it.
It really is. We're also fortunate to have this dream moment, this life that actually has brought us here too.
And this is a collective dream.
It
that
really
we are dreaming
is.
Together.
It is. Well, and no one comes to Bali only once, so you and Luna will be back. You know that. Everybody has already told you that.
Oh, yes. It's our second time already.
Oh, it is your second time.
Yeah. But, we say there isn't a two without a three. So, and of course, in Balinese order, we have to come for our third time.
Yes, exactly.
So we'll see. And I'm also speaking with Luna. I wonder how living like this has inspired her in 12. It's been a beautiful initiation journey also for me as a mom. I turned 50 and she's about to turn 13. So I'm doing the menopause.
When is she turning 13?
In January.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's soon, only a few months. And, I'm doing the menopause and she's doing the puberty. And we had this journey together. And I'm curious to see how she's going to choose to live her life as an adult one day. And I'm wondering if she's gonna live in Asia, in this life where we are at one with nature, and the temperature is so beautiful. We don't need wall also to protect the temperature of the house. It's never cold that we need to protect, or too hot to having the needs of the aircon. Also find that here, and you build it so well with the rhythm of the sun, and the roof, it's so high. I have never been hot in this house like in other house in Bali that you're sweating in the day. There's always a coolness about it and a breeze, and it's really impeccable. So
well, I have loved meeting you both, and I'm very excited. I'm a big fan of Luna. I'm very interested to see, what life, is she going to craft? And we know she's an artist, but which direction is that going to take?
She's listening. No, and we did say next time we'll come back, she can do some apprenticeship with you.
Definitely. We'll
into
definitely
designer.
do that. We'll set that up for sure.
So thank you so much, and I'm gonna say suksuma in Balinese. And for the people that are listening, I think once we're gonna publish this episode, we're gonna also put it onto YouTube. And Alejandra agreed to give me some beautiful picture of all her joglo. She built many. Now, of course, like everybody that lives in one, if you're gonna have a house, is gonna ask Alejandra to build you one. Like, I'm waiting to know where I want my joglo in the world, but I'm gonna invite you there to please build one for me, because I don't want to have a different home. And so she built many, and so she's gonna give me picture for all the this beautiful poetry of living that she built, and we're going to do a slideshow on YouTube. So if you're listening to this now on any of the platform like Spotify or Anchor, you know that you can also find it on YouTube and see the photograph of these living art performances. And then I'm gonna put a link for Airbnb. You can come and live in these houses in Bali if you come to Ubud, and you can find them in Airbnb. So I'm gonna put all your link at the end.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And now Bali is opening up again.
Bali is opening up as per this date. A few days ago, the business visa is open again.
Visas are going to be available again. It's a really great time to come.
Yeah.
Because the Balinese have been holding out, like everybody in the world, but also the Balinese. And so, this would be a nice
So I'm going to put this link with a little bit of tension. It's like we spoke about this tension of this place to be seen, but also not too much, because then I know it's available for me when I come back. Otherwise, if it's too popular, we'll be booked out all the time.
No, it's always going to be available for Valentina and Lula. We always keep a little spot for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bella.
Ciao, ciao.